And go ahead, Irene.
Okay, yes. And before I read the mission statement, I just want to say that when anyone gets a message, we all get a message because our kids are all together, and just hearing someone else get a validation is a validation for all of us. So thank you, Jamie. Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and allow for open dialogue. Attendance today at the Helping Parents Heal meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally.
Thank you, Irene. And I'd like to say, first of all, that this is going to be recorded and it's going to be on YouTube so that we can help as many people as possible. And just in case you really would not want to have anything personal on YouTube, maybe refrain from doing the readings and just sit back and listen to what's going on, unless it's obviously for you, and then I would assume you would want to jump in. But secondly, I also want to let you know that Jamie is willing to take a few questions before he starts the readings. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat box and make sure that they're very general, because not something specific about your own situation, but something general that you would like for Jamie to answer. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and read Jamie's bio. I've known Jamie for many years now. He was one of the first people that I met along this journey. As a matter of fact, even before I met him, Mark Ireland was at an event with Suzanne Wilson, and Mark Ireland signed a book for me that Suzanne Wilson ended up bringing to me, but I had heard Jamie Clark's name very early on in my journey, and I feel very grateful to have done that. Through years of study and a series of profound revelations, Jamie Clark discovered that he had the gift of psychic intuition and could also communicate messages and feelings between people living and those who have left this physical plane of existence. In other words, he can communicate with those we have loved and lost. Now, with thousands of powerful connections made worldwide and years of experience as a guide, Jamie offers this healing phenomenon to those who need it most, people seeking for life direction and guidance, as well as those seeking answers and closure from family and friends that have passed. With decades of experience and a lifetime working with his natural gifts, Jamie offers powerful and accurate validations of the spiritual dimensions around us. Jamie is the host of the podcast Psychic Evolution and the author of the Psychic Evolution Training Cards. As a spiritual teacher, Jamie shares how to integrate the natural psychic senses with the empowerment of spiritual knowledge to help create a more fulfilling life of love, happiness, and success. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jamie Clark, psychic medium, and really close friend as well.
Yes, and thank you very much. Now, I'm honored, and thank you guys for coming. I just want to go over some of these questions, and there's great questions, and then I just want to kind of give you a little bit of my rules and regs, and let's get into some reading here. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored, but I'm humbled. Everybody is a psychic medium. If you got a soul, you're a psychic medium. We've all had the gut feeling of the mind skip picture that happens. That's psychic. And psychic, to me, this is just to myself, But psychic and mediumship are the same thing, because I used to think not every psychic is a medium, but every medium is definitely psychic. And Chi, my master guide, was like, well, Jimmy, what do you do when you read for somebody psychically? And my response, well, I read their thoughts, their attention to those thoughts, which creates vibrations of information, and I read it. And he's like, okay, so what do you do with mediumship? Connect to their thoughts, their attention to those thoughts creates vibrations of information, and I read it. The only difference to me between a psychic read and a mediumship read, psychic read in the physical body, mediumship read out of the physical body, both have soul prints of consciousness. Now, that's why I've done a lot of scientific studies where we've now scientifically validated that consciousness exists beyond bodily death. That's huge. And working on some technology as well. Now, in addition, there's a great question with that. There's another one. I'm not sure if you guys are okay if I share your name, otherwise I'll just keep it quiet. But how do your guides or angels pick you? It's actually a teamwork. And as much as there's a vibrational match, they're not made to come and work with you. No, are you made to work with them? It is a teamwork aspect. So for myself, because I've been doing it my whole life and I need all the help I can get, I work with a lot of different beings and guides. And my master guide is Chi. My master guide helps orchestrate all of my other guides. Each guide has their own natural ability of effectiveness, meaning the guides know how to approach other circumstances. If I have a pool problem, I'm not going to call an air conditioning person, I'll call a pool person. It's that kind of an energy alignment. Now, here's another thing. How do nonverbal children communicate with us? To my awareness, in a physical body, it's our brain, which is just a computer that's working. And sometimes we will have physical dynamics that might cause different circumstances. When you graduate and you get out of this physical body, I can only speak for myself and the spiritual experiences that I have. Thankfully, I have not graduated to do this. But it is like the best mood that you have ever been in, the best meal that you have ever had. My soul is full, man, and no separation with anything. It is all truly interconnected. That's huge. And that kind of an effortless connection where I don't have to do anything but me, and the words that come to me each time I have that experience, who are you now? I'm like, holy cow, complete the whole way. Now, because of those physical dynamics that may challenge people with speaking or walking or any of those circumstances, when you graduate and you become energy, pure energy state of consciousness, you are perfect. There is no disease. There is no negation. And I have people, little babies who did not necessarily make it here, and others, animals who come through to me during sessions and communicate like adults in English. And I'm like, gee, what the frig? How's that possible that they didn't know the vibrational patterns on our ear nubs of communication? And with the animals, they don't necessarily analyze anything. And so how are they able to come through and connect with me consciously? And Chi's response was, well, Jimmy, before you come into this planet, you're like the adult soul. You're the oversoul. And you're going to look on this planet, and go, hey, that looks like a fun place to enjoy. And how they do it on that planet is you need a vehicle to get around. Whether you're a human, animal, or an insect, it is only a vehicle to house a soul print of consciousness. I will also say there are people on this planet that can shapeshift. It's a very real dynamic. Now, in that, there is a connection to our loved ones all the time, always. And they are just but a thought away, literally. Our job, and I want to just kind of share with you the difference between when we're mentally wandering and wishful thinking about our own lives and when our loved ones are communicating, is this. When we mentally wander and wishful think, it tends to come from the inside out, like, okay, all right, that's mentally wandering. But when our loved ones are communicating, it's like this. Boom! When they tune you in, that is usually your loved ones. And whoever first touches your mind is usually who it's coming from and has their own individualized soul print. Now, just, a little bit going off on a tangent. Some people perceive that, it's a one-way street, that if you're going to hurt people or hopefully help them and empower them. But that those dynamics, it's a one way, and that you're just, you know, treat others as you would treat yourself. And that stuff is real, because just from my awareness and my own experiences, I will tell you, when we graduate, you will have an instant life review. In a split second, you become everybody that you've ever interacted with and feel every vibrational pattern of interaction. To me, that's kind of balance, isn't it? You're going to do that. Well, here it is. And just real quick, we're going to get into now how I do what I do. My job is I want to dispel the booger and the, you know, like, where are you getting that from? Because we're pulling this information out of thin air, and we are. Now, how I read for people is through natural laws that exist within this universe. And any natural law is never, ever selective of itself as to who the user is of that law. Like the soil in the ground. That soil doesn't question anything about you at all, what kind of person you are, happy, sad, murderer, healer, green, purple, orange, and it doesn't question what seed you plant. If you're planting that seed, you must want it to grow. Make sense? So here's how I read for people. The seemingly thin, empty air of nothingness is pure God soil. Every thought you have is a seed you're planting into the soil. Your attention to those thoughts, to those seeds, are what waters them. And our ignorance of these natural laws are no excuse. You're still working with it. Kind of like, oh, you don't know what oxygen is? Guess what? You're breathing it. You don't know what gravity is? Guess what? It's part of your reality. First nature, not second nature. And so what happens is when you're thinking those thoughts and giving your attention to those thoughts, there is no karma. It is a natural law. And in this case, I consider it a vibrational match. What you send out comes back. Cause and effect. Cause is your thought. The effect is your reality that you're living. Now, when our loved ones come through, I have no control over who comes through or the information, but I will always stay true to it. When your people come through, to me, in-laws, step family, real family, it's all family. So unless they're specific, I don't have a clue. I get it, I give it. Now, when they bring themselves through, they'll put themselves on an energy level. To me, it does not matter the years of wisdom that you've acquired. If they come through at your same level, to me, husband, wife, brother, sister, really, really good friend, a contemporary. One level above you, mom and dad, aunt and uncle, grandma, grandpa, and motherly, fatherly level. Above that is a grandma, grandpa. One level below you is a child. So they know what level works for me. Now, when they bring themselves through, they'll bring what I call a tag-along energy. A lot of times it will pertain to the person who's coming through and how they passed in certain circumstances, but not always. So as that person comes through, if it's not the way that they passed, that's fine. That person is coming through, but then they're acknowledging the person who did pass that way. Now, I also am I want things to be able to have the opportunity to be validated, because to me, if loved ones start giving me information that there's no way can be validated, I'll stop it every time. Otherwise, you can do an easy cheesy going, hey, they can't validate, and they're saying, not a chance. And the integrity of doing this, you better have integrity, because it's very powerful. So when your people come through with a name, it's either who they are that's alive here on the planet, or they're alive on the other side, because I never, ever talk to the dead. There are none. Truly, we live only one life, an eternal life, but each life is a minute in the hour, hour in the day, and each of those days goes into our Solodex of self-realization as the eternal being. Life's not happening to us, it's happening because of us. Now, when loved ones, and we all have those dynamics, I also just want to make you aware, again, this is only my awareness, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. But I want to make you aware of the act of suicide or taking your own life, okay? Because possibly a lot of us have it. I certainly have connections to circumstances like that. And a lot of times, if you're not necessarily into this, you know, you might be like, I hope they're in a good place. I hope they're, I will tell you, anybody who comes through to me is only on the good channel or I do not exist. I don't hope and believe I'm safe. I know I'm safe, because if I didn't, I'd be so inaccurate and fearful, it's not even funny. Now, the reason why I say I want to address the act of taking your own life, whether intentional or accidental as well, of course, but that circumstance is only the catalyst, only the experience to get us to the other side. And now you'll see why I say things only hold the value we place upon it. Because if the act of taking your own life is always a bad thing and you're a bad person, my response is, wow, then I guess the person who jumps on that grenade to save the entire platoon's a bad person. Are you kidding me? For me, I would have respect, appreciation, and gratitude for that person who did the exact action and brought my family back home to me. Yet on one end of the spectrum, they're a hero. On the other end, they're a zero. What's your value point? I will guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, as surely as you're sitting here, there is no judgment ever on the universe's part. For if there were, God would be judging itself. Or something like that. I amuse myself, man. And I get the answers I'm looking for. So, I want to just kind of start going into this. And I want to make you aware for myself, because I always say, please, ladies and gentlemen, be skeptical about everything, question everything, just be open. Now, I also want to share a dynamic that happened with the Helping Parents Heal and the last presentation that I had done when it was the, public. And we were having lunch out of, on the tables there, and I was doing some appointments, and I had come to lunch after everyone had enjoyed, and it was one other person and myself. And as I'm sitting there, all the seats are empty. There's no one else there. All in one shot, all of the kids drop into each of those chairs. I'm like, oh, this is good. And the energy was they were helping each other. They were helping each other. There wasn't that, hey, competitive. It's like, let me show you how to be a better communicator. Let me show you how to get that. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Because our loved ones always want to talk to us. But I will tell you, from my experience, love is what allows everything to be. Love is a real energy. Scientifically, Albert Einstein proved that love is an energy. We do not understand it, but it is an energy. That is powerful. Now, in addition, as I'm kind of going into this, I just want to roll over to Jason. And Jason and Irene and Elizabeth, we were talking in another room for a few minutes. I always want to make sure that I'm straight up, going right, perfect. Now, as Jason and I were talking as well, he was sharing a book that he's been writing. Now, in addition, for that, your Bailey is channeling with you. You are starting to write that down more effectively. That's what she does. Yep, right.
Yes.
So in this capacity, going with it, which you are, it's going to get even stronger. Now, in addition, I will say, I know your book is very spiritual and it has that, but if you have not thought about doing a children's book, that Bailey will assist you with. If you're interested, you don't have to do anything. But I like Bailey's strength because I never met her, but she's real nice, but very direct. If she says it, she means it. Boom, 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 boom. And in that, ladies and gentlemen, I will always do the best I can, but I will also make sure you know who the information is coming from the best that I can, instead of, and they're saying, who's they? We all have they. I'll be as specific as possible out of almost 8 billion people in all the different personalities and characteristics. If we can be pretty accurate, it's either good guesswork or, something to it. Cool? Now, let's see, because Lordy, we have a lot of great people. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to this and adding to this beautiful energy, because, we're all in this together. And just as another thing, as I was making a comment that, I always say that the very technology that's bringing us together is separating us. And now in this case, the very diseasement that has separated us is bringing us together. It's like, holy cow, isn't that weird? But on the same spectrum, it's all energy. It's all vibrations, consciousness, frequencies. You just learn to read it. And Jason does that even more effectively. So let me see where we're going here. And I might possibly be with Beth Maxwell, potentially. Cool. Can we possibly, I'm not sure if she's good. Beth, you there?
I'm here.
Cool. Have you, and here's the thing, I'll usually be very accurate with male or female, but sometimes if the female coming through has a stronger energy, I'll go for a male. If the male has a softer, more contemplative, I'll go for a female. Otherwise, I stick to what I get. Have you lost a daughter?
I have.
Okay, because she's strong. And yeah, and she likes your hair, by the way. So in addition, for your daughter, and I am not a doctor, cannot diagnose for nothing, for nobody, never. Okay, but she puts question marks around things. So to me, potentially, maybe whatever it was, not everything was understood, or it was potentially one way and they weren't sure if it was another way. Okay, just know she's very clear about that. And she's great. She's great. Now, besides that, if you have not been paid a visit by your daughter since she's graduated, you've got that coming up. The difference between a dream and a visit is the clarity. A dream would be like, I don't really remember, but I feel it. That's a dream. A visit will be ingrained in your soul. And they look alike, and I was talking about, I was there. That's because you were. They just get the average person in the dream state because anything is possible. I've just done this 50-something years ago. Man, I want to show you this is possible so that we can do it for ourselves. Biggest gift, ladies and gentlemen, is to connect with them like they're connecting with you, and truly, but a thought away. Thought is instantaneous. Here to the other side of the universe is, are we through thought? Oh yeah, I'll guarantee you this is not the only universe. Watch, watch. So besides, your daughter's like, that's cool, keep going.
Sure.
She finds me interesting, just so you know. She's like, hey, he's different. Like, oh, I don't, yeah, he's all right. Now, your daughter, if she was really, really young, great, but she comes through like she's a little older than that. Okay, so if she wasn't in her teens or that kind of thing, then I will tell you, if she was younger, she is a very old soul. Okay, because there's way too much good energy about that. Now, I also, and again, just my awareness, as we use those terms, an old soul, okay, to me, we are all old souls. The reference to that old soul on this planet, to me, is that somebody's been coming here a lot. They just know the vibe. They tend to work with it. They tend to connect with it. And people are like, wow, you're talking like you're 30 and you're 3. It's like, yeah, exactly. And that kind of a connection is huge because once you make that consciously, you know how your loved ones feel. That uniqueness of their soul print is powerful. That's why I always say, please question everything, just be open. That type of dynamic makes it even clearer, more respectful, and an impactful connection. And then you have it firsthand, first nature, now it's real, now it's solid. Otherwise, secondhand is beautiful, but until you've had your own experience, it's like, well, it sounds great, but okay. But you're now having more experiences, Beth, which is really good.
I'm questioning. I don't feel her a lot. So
I hear that. Pay attention to some knocks around the house. Okay. Now, I'm going to share this because I feel like a lot of people have had this. And to me, I share it with a lot of people because thousands of people over the past couple of years have had the same or similar thing. And I asked Chi, I'm like, Chi, what's going on with that? Why is it so powerful for the past 2 years that so many people are having it? And so it's very casual, but it's very consistent. And if you haven't had this, you have a strong potential to have it. You'll be sitting in your house doing, whatever. And on a wall or a door, you'll hear, okay, that's weird. Somebody throw a rock or something? Whatever. Later, on a window. Did a bird hit the window? Go out and look. There won't be a bird. Later, on the front door. That's your loved ones. And it sounds crazy until you make your own connections. Now I asked Chi, because he's very insightful. He keeps it simple, man, which is what I need. I said, Chi, why is it that so many people are having similar experiences in their houses and this kind of a connection with that? And his response was, well, Jamie, we're creating a neural soulway, like a neural pathway for the integration of information for the brain, a neural soulway for universal communication through the soul. And so each person who has that experience is adding a stronger vibrational connection to the other side. Then you get the power in numbers, and then you get the tipping point of consciousness, 51%, which we are heading towards fairly soon. That's why the planet had to be reset with their consciousness to go, oh, wait a minute, right? This isn't country against country. This is a whole different vibe. Everyone became reactive. And so now it's the proactiveness that we're starting little by little to get back, but now we're finding ourselves within life, not losing ourselves to it. And that's huge. Because when circumstances, it'll shift your whole reality. Now, in addition, your daughter keeps saying the name Rose. Okay, so if you don't know anyone by the name of Rose, or no one's planted roses in honor, I don't know where to go with that, except your daughter just says Rose. Do you know any connection that might be?
My great grandmother is Rose.
Okay, very cool. And without being too general, your great grandmother has graduated, right? She's on the other side?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I never met her.
She was there to assist. And I like the grandma. I don't know if you know anything about her personality, maybe through parents or, okay. Well, I'm not going to keep going with that. But as long as your daughter was accurate with that specific name, because, there's more than just one name on the planet. Now, in addition, for your daughter, when you see butterflies, know it's her. She's looking at you like you already do. Hello.
I do. I do.
And the cool thing is, like I said, question it, but whoever your thought first goes to is usually who it's coming from. And a lot of people perceive, well, they're flying them around. I'm like, no, I equate it when birds are on a flock and they all turn at the same time. They're all on the same channel. Do not kid yourself. Just because you're not tuning in doesn't mean it's not playing. It's always playing. Kind of like them their cell phones, right? There's no cords or anything. You're not tapping in except through the tool of connection. We are the tool of connection, and a tool in a good way. Hey, let's keep going, man. So I just needed to let you know, okay? And one other thing, if nobody was ever talking about a tattoo in honor of her, she makes me feel like they have, or somebody's done it. Do you know, has anyone done something?
Me and her two other sisters are doing tattoos.
Okay, I wanted to say two before you were going to say it, just so it's potentially a little bit more validated.
I would never have allowed it before, but we said we wanted to do it for her.
And your daughter's like, that's love, because there's no freaking way.
I would have never let her do it.
Right, hey, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But I got to say, she's free, and one day at a time, she will make a stronger connection. Your job, like you're doing, just be a little bit more open, that sensitivity, the knocks, and other things. But when those are happening, she gets the credit. And I always say, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm good, your people are great. I'm honored, but I'm humbled. And that kind of a connection, they will do the best they can to make those connections. And they do have an idea of how you best receive information. For me, because this is all I do 24/7 for the past 20 years, and I am so thankful and honored, that kind of a connection allows me to be in this energy enough so that I vibe with it consistently. And that allows me to be that walking soul phone kind of thing to go, man, we're always on. And those parameters are when people drop into my big head. I'm like, okay, who am I supposed to say it to? What am I supposed to say? And I just want to share real quick, in this capacity, you never know who might be around you. One of these circumstances that I have, which is really cool, and I have quite a bit of them, which I'm honored, but in this capacity, it was many years ago, and my boys, I had taken them to the movie theater to go see a movie. Well, they were sitting in the chairs holding the seats, and I was out at the concession stand line waiting and looking forward, and there's a couple other people. And then all of a sudden from the other side, I get this. I'm like, okay, you got my attention. I'm not working. So what do I need to say and who do I need to say it to? And I hadn't turned around. I was still looking forward. And the voice was like, there are 3 ladies behind you. The one in the middle is my wife. Could you please let her know that I'm here and that I passed from a heart attack? I'm like, yeah, okay, well, you got my attention. And, that happens quite a bit. So I turn around very casually and I look and I'm like, oh, there's 3 ladies behind me. And the one in the middle looks like she has a few more years of wisdom. And so I turn around completely. And before I say anything, ladies and gentlemen, to anybody in that capacity, I will always ask for permission. You don't want to nail them if they're not ready for it. But I said, ladies, I know I don't know you, but may I say something to you? And they were like, well, sure, of course. And so I looked at the lovely ladies and I looked at the woman in the middle and I said, ma'am, did you possibly lose a husband who's passed? And she's like, yeah. He says he passed from a heart attack. They broke down crying right there. I'm some Joe Schmo standing in a line at a movie theater. Really, really. Our loved ones know our soul print of consciousness. And I always say how they know is like we have an IP address on the internet web. We have an SP address, a soul print address on the universal web, never lost and always found. Because a lot of times when I do readings for people, your loved ones will start coming to me in the morning earlier. I'm like, all right, what are we? And they'll start giving me information and validations. And there's a lot of times where they'll show me something. And if I've got it in my house, that I'll bring it out and I'll set it there before anyone comes in. That way it's a little more validating. And that happens so much. People are like, that's the exact candle that we light. That's the one that we light in honor of him. And I'm like, really? Great, because there's a lot of candles with different scents. And there was a few other things. And when that happens from the very beginning, to go, again, I'm Joe Schmo. I don't know them. And I don't mean to be rude, ladies and gentlemen, but if I'm reading for you, I don't want to know anything about you prior to the reading. Now, we used to cheesies instead of, yeah, I know that. Yeah, and they're saying, no, it's more validating when I don't know anything, but usually be pretty accurate with personalities and characteristics and how they'd say and the way they'd be. And they'd be like, that's how they used to be. And I'm like, that's how they still are, right? I'm just mimicking them. I don't know them. And they're like, yeah. So that's either good guesswork or, something to it. That's why the scientific studies to put the practicality of spirituality. What is this meditation manifesting in my life? Because for me, if I'm not getting a validation in some way, why am I doing it? I want that practicality. I have respect always for the universe and others and the parameters, but I also make sure I question everything. That way I'm not going off the edge, because there is a fine line between doing this work and other places. Some people just don't understand. Like, I'm hearing voices. Yeah, guess what? I hear it all day long when people seek me out. They don't fear me. It's if you're comfortable with the modality, others are comfortable. It's going to freak you out. It'll freak them out. Now, Elizabeth, I don't mean to be rude, but Bear, right? Your son? Your son?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Are
Perfect.
you wanting me to say something?
Yeah, exactly. I just want to let you know that your son is coming through strong. And one, funny but true, but like a big bear hug. 2, he's going to pay you another visit because he makes me feel like you're getting stronger in the connection. You're starting to tune in more effectively. And the great thing is journaling a little bit more, some of the date, time, quick experience, because you want a track record of growth. Because sometimes you'd be like, I'll remember, and what did I completely forgot? Now, besides that, and I am certainly aware that Elizabeth and the family do a lot of beautiful honorings. They have a bench, right, of where that honoring is. Now, in addition, there's also, if you haven't been thinking about writing a book or you haven't written a book in some way, it makes me feel like it's already in your mind side. So if it is, perfect. And kind of like Jason, he's going to help you. Okay. And especially there might be a potential, just so it could potentially be more validating, that if you do one book on your own, perfect. But he also makes me feel like you might do a book where others are contributing authors, where they can put those experiences or circumstances. And then it's like, okay, not only is it that Elizabeth has had this and in such a beautiful way, she's helping others, but now more people are connecting. More people are getting that vibe.
Jamie, I've been wanting to do that since I actually started, doing this. This has been 10 years that I've been wanting to talk about other parents' experiences. So yes, that is definitely something that someday when I have a little bit of time, I want to get done. So I hope that Morgan's not on the same time schedule that I am.
He's like, right now.
Right now, okay.
And, again, it's really cool because they'll usually be pretty accurate with those. But in addition, again, that scientific stuff, I'm into those and done a lot of scientific studies to realize it is no longer the separation of spirituality and quantum physics, it is the unification of spiritual physics. Pick it apart and you realize everything is interconnected. So, in addition, there's an aspect where he's like, good luck on the time. But when you're setting aside some time, because he makes me feel like finally you're starting to include yourself to go, maybe I could take a little time this afternoon, like an hour, and a little bit at a time, whatever feels good for you. But I like his energy because he doesn't waver. He's just boom, there, solidly. And he's not making you do anything, but his energy vibe is going to get stronger for you. And some of those aspects, some of the information is going to just drop into your mind like, oh, that's a great idea. And you'll know a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times that's from him. And that's when it's beautiful teamwork. And not only that, this is information, and like Jason is doing, it's a vibrational pattern from the other side. Hello, unification of consciousness as well. And so they'll find these different modalities. And again, to make you aware of what you are, that our kids, our loved ones are wanting to help others to make their connection too. That kind of an experience is huge because for me, in my own experiences, when I feel so amazing, I'm able to look back on this life experience to go, oh yeah, what an experience. Because everything is spiritual and everything is relative. We are extraterrestrials to everyone else. Woo! We are living on the other side of where we come from before here, right now.
Hey, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Cindy wanted to make a comment that said you keep saying Jason, which is a member of this group, but that's also her son's name.
Oh,
Could
awesome.
some of what you're saying
be connected? Yes. Would you graciously put the person on who's acknowledged that, if we may? I don't know, my ignorance of computer stuff. My boys are like, there you go. I'm like,
do you have that name, Jason?
Cindy has been unmuted. Hey, Cindy. She has been unmuted.
Cindy Retz. Yeah. Is she unmuted? Oh.
Okay.
Maybe she muted herself again because sometimes they can. Okay, here we go. I'm unmuting her.
Okay.
I just did. Oh. She should be unmuted.
Cindy, are you there?
Cindy. There she is.
I'm here. Hello.
Hey.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey.
Very nicely. And as you heard, Jason was sharing the fact that apparently your son's name is Jason. Your son is relentless because he's like, say it again, say it again, say it again, say it again. Same smile, same thing as you just did that like this. Now, in addition, your son feels very spiritual in his own way. Okay, he's got a good energy. He's got a good vibe. Now, as your son comes through, it does not have to be connected to him, but if it's not, he is acknowledged as a person who has this experience type of thing. As he comes through, he makes my head hurt, okay? So unless there was dynamics around that or he became incapacitated in some way, I'm not sure where to go with that, except that that's one of the first things that he connects with. Does that make any sense? Do you understand that?
Well, I think he drowned, and we believe that he had an epileptic attack. We were together when that happened, and he was just snorkeling and he disappeared, and And that was, yeah, an epileptic attack because he had a little epilepsy once in a while, but he went drinking the night before. We were all on vacation, and and that's what he did. In the morning he was a little bit, and then we went on a boat, and then he just went snorkeling and never came out.
And but in that connection, he's like, oh, I'm on vacation, all right. Now, in addition, if you have not had, and again, if he's drinking, more than likely he's legal age. He's like, well,
he was
usually.
24. He was going to be 25, yeah.
But what he makes me feel like is, and if you have not had this, you have a very strong potential to have it. And the great thing is whenever I'm supposed to say this, it usually happens for people. And one of them happened with Elizabeth at the Helping Parents Heal seminar, where we had picked these parents and they were great. And I was told to let them know that as they're driving down the street, they'll be going by a park, there'll be this guy walking down the sidewalk, and as they go by, it'll look a lot like their son. Well, a little while after that, they're driving down the street, they see this person, they pulled into the park and talked to him for, I believe, a few hours. They showed a picture of their son and the other person. There was a lot of similarities.
Wow.
The same goatee, I'm like, that's cool. Now, what Jason makes me feel like for you is you're going to be driving, okay? And you're just doing your thing, and it'll either be a car, like you're coming up and a car's coming up beside you, or you're sitting at a red light and these cars are going by in front of you, and you'd be like, holy crap, that looked like him. And he keeps showing me the color red. So even if he didn't like red, he just drops red into my mind. Make sense?
Okay. Red, I can't think of.
Don't even worry about it.
Okay.
I'll just say, without that, be open for a red vehicle.
Okay.
Even more validating going, that was pretty specific. Cool, because
great.
I feel like, yeah, and your son, yeah, he's playful, but I also feel like if he says it, he means it. He'll do the best he can to manifest whatever he's sharing, okay? And know that he is great, and that exactly like you were saying, he makes me feel like that is the case, that there was that circumstance and it changed those dynamics. Now, in addition, Jason is standing there shaking ashes. Do you know anyone who was cremated? Because he's looking at you.
Yeah, he was
like
cremated pretty much immediately because we were in the middle of Mexico when this happened. And, and we actually were living a little short period of time in Mexico, and then we moved to the States. So we were kind of in the middle of moving, really. And so, we weren't even where he died. We didn't even, I hate saying that word too. I just want to say passed, graduated. I like what you say is perfect. We had to transport him to where we were at, also, and bring him to the States. So yeah, he was cremated immediately.
Okay, as long as he was accurate. And playfully, and I get this every so often, playfully, as your son shakes his ashes, he's like, kiss my ash.
That would be something Jason would say.
That's because he just did.
Yeah.
That's
something. I think he has a T-shirt that says something like that.
And he does. Now, as soon as you said T-shirt, you know how sometimes we'll create T-shirts or wristbands or something like that. Did somebody do that? Because he's looking at a shirt going, yep.
Yeah, he had somebody, I don't remember exactly, but it's something, kiss my, I just saw a picture of it, something like that.
Okay.
Like something like that, kiss my, something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Similar to the word ass, but not, something like that.
Hey, where are you?
Said the word red, now I know. Her father died in 1998. And his father came strong to me in dreams. Jason hasn't been able to do this, but his father really came in strong to me a few times. And he showed me a red car that he used to have that I never knew existed. But then I validated it with his ex-wife after the dream, weeks later, that it did exist. And it was a red pickup truck. So that color red, that because I was just talking to that with my daughter today about that dream, about that
There we
red
go.
pickup truck that it got validated with, you know, with his ex-wife that I had no idea about. And so that makes sense.
And the good thing is, Jason's very much aware of it. To go, well, really, out
Yeah,
of all the colors,
that makes
doink, he
sense.
just drops into my big head like,
Yeah.
perfect. So when that's happening, just like you're doing, vibe with it. Just have fun. Go, because the more that you connect with that, the stronger that connection gets to them. And truly, like I said, just for me, it's all thought. It's all connection instantly. Past, present, and future are happening now. And I asked Chi, my master guide, I'm like, Chi, how the frig is the future happening when I'm not in the future? And he's like, well, are you here now? I'm like, yeah. He's like, just like that. I'm the future compared to my past, or the past compared to my future. Have you ever had a deja vu?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that
Notice
I've
how,
been there before.
right, what
Yeah.
exactly? And it's like, I
Yeah,
haven't done it, but I've
been
done
there
it.
before.
What if that's a future you that's rolling back on this present moment to go, I haven't done it, but I've done it? Because I will share with you just my awareness. When I read for people psychically, if I'm getting potential outcomes, I'm connecting with future yous, future yous. That's the point. There are as many yous as there are perceivers of you.
Wow.
I learned a lot during the scientific studies. If I may just share that real quick, because I'm into that science stuff.
Wow.
But we would do quadruple blind and all that good stuff. But there was one testing where there was 3 of us mediums who we were all connecting with the same person on the other side who had graduated, who was on the A team, as they refer. And as I was tapping in, I was seeing him well-dressed and stately and great communication. And all 3 of us were very accurate with the information that was being shared. But the difference is, I saw him stately and looking good. The medium that was tapping in next to me saw him in a wheelchair, and the other person saw him differently too. And I'm like, gee, how is that possible that we're all connected with the same person, yet we're seeing something different? And we're all getting the information, but how is that possible? What's up?
Yeah.
And his response was, well, Jamie, you know those holographic pictures that if you look at one angle, it's a giraffe, the other one's an elephant, and the other one's a lion? I'm like, yeah. He's like, just like that. Neural soul waves, frequencies, vibrations, dimensions, it's all connected. But that's why I'm loving this, is scientifically we're proving this stuff. I want to take it out of the booga booga to go, it's science fiction till it's science fact, is the point. And I'm honored to be a part of this. If I can help even one person, I've done a great job. Who are we going to help first? Ourselves. Because for me, I've learned 55 years that the more love, energy, attention, and compassion I give myself is no longer narcissism, it's self-realization. We cannot give what we do not have. Most of us run on empty and when's it over? A lot of times. I'm like, frick it, man. Do the best we can to enjoy the ride. And your son gives you a kiss on the cheek, but he also shows me a tattoo. Did somebody connect? Did he have tattoos? Because he shows me like tattoos on him.
Yeah. He had some tattoos. I have one tattoo in my arm, one that I did a long time ago. It has actually his initial in there too. But
did you think about changing something? Were you changing something or possibly thinking about some other tattoo?
Not really. You know, I mean, I have this little tiny one here. That was a kind of a long time ago that I did
yes,
that.
ma'am. So here's the validation, if I may, is you'll be, doing whatever it is. And you might run into somebody who knows your son and they'll be like, hey, I got this tattoo. And you'd be like, holy crap, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. I'm like, yeah, but I trust your son.
Yeah, his friends, that love him so much.
Well, yeah. And in doing that, maybe if you're connected, see if they have at least 2 songs that they connect with them on. 2, not just 1. Okay. So that way it's potentially a little bit more validating. Now, do you have hummingbirds where you're at?
We live in Florida. There's a few.
Okay. And they're not going to do an easy, silly one. Like, yeah, hummingbirds exist on the planet. It'll be kind of like, a butterfly going, man, why do I feel like you're eyeballing me? And in this case, why am I thinking of Jason? That's because it's him. And a lot of times, because I've had that, and my dad is hummingbirds, my mom is butterflies. And there was one time my oldest son was sitting out with a hose, you know, just letting the stream out like this. There was a hummingbird drinking from that for a minute, literally
Wow.
a minute, a minute. And I was like, thank
Wow.
you, thank you, thank you. So a huge, because I'm not silly, man. I need the healing just like I give. Watching my whole family go every 2 years from cancer, that tore my soul, man. And I was like, you know what? Frick that. If I can't help my family, I'm going to help this entire planet and myself. And I'm doing it. That's the point. We're doing this together. And step by step, if we can get a different perspective, not better or worse, but different, sometimes that different vantage point might give you a different perspective on things, a little bit different information. Cool?
Cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Jason was going to make sure he got freaking noticed. And thank you, Jason, for acknowledging that.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You got it. And he pulled on your energy, Jason, just because of that.
Kind of looks like you too. So,
Nice. Isn't that interesting? And you got a similarity like, oh, you got mom, and then a big head.
Yeah, like that.
Big head? Where did that come from?
Because I love you, like family, man. I always talk about myself, my big head and all that kind of stuff. That's, you know, having fun. To me, this is amazing. I have fun with the process because I found for me in doing this, if I got serious about things, things got serious. And it's not that I don't care in any way. It's not like that. But keeping that vibe high, keeping it light, and making my connections as well with my people and nourishing my soul keeps me going all the time. And even if I weren't getting that, I would still be doing this work, you know, because growing up with a mom who was an amazing psychic medium, she'd say things and 2 hours later, a lot of times it was happening. And I'm like, what the flag dog? Are you making this stuff happen? And she's like, no. And she gave me the information of how I read for people psychically. And I'm like, well, she's accurate. So, and we spent 20 years working on this stuff. So I am so honored and humbled. And if anyone's interested in maybe acquiring a few tools and techniques, exactly as Elizabeth was graciously sharing, we do have a podcast, Psychic Evolution. We're in our second season. We give a lot of tools and techniques, a lot of effective information. Again, we can only speak from us, no better or worse, but different. And that kind of connection, we are having so much fun and getting people to empower themselves. Because again, each one of us, the more that we help ourselves, the more that we can help others, because we cannot give what we do not have. And it's truly about that love. Now, all right, Jason is like, hey, say that Dalai Lama thing. Now, just to my awareness, and again, she is very playful, but I believe that, you know, there's a person referred to as the Dalai Lama. And he has said there is but one constant in the universe, and that is change. And she was like, well, Jamie, there could be a few other constants besides certainly change, which is, of course, a constant. But I believe that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So that's a constant. And, oh, yeah, this love is a constant. And this is a conscious universe. Consciousness is constant. 4 more so than the old school of 1. And again, just a different perspective. But I will also say, again, I need all the help I can get. And she is not from this universe. That's my point. You know, you're crazy till it's validated to go, you know, I guess we'll see. But that's the point. We all are in this together. And we all have taken the strength from our own awareness to be on this planet. I think, you know, like I do, it's going to be a heavy vibe, man. It's not easy to always be happy, but doing the best you can to find yourself again and live life more than survive it, that's a big thing. Because when our loved ones graduate and they feel amazing, and you hear it all the time, I'm sure, they want us to live life, not just survive it, not just exist, but the best that we can to enjoy it. Because I will tell you, we live our entire life in one cosmic breath. When we come into this world, we breathe in, and when we go out, we breathe out. that whole life experience is the breath of life. And to me, to live each breath the best that we can in any way is a great thing. Because when people can know that it's possible to a certain extent, to pick up some of these pieces that I feel like I've fallen apart, and I can put this together a little bit more effectively. And when they can get their own validation, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, you know your people, you know your kids, you know their personalities, but it's that kind of a connection that if I can do this out of all these people, I'm honored, but I'm humbled. Your people get the credit. I will not get stuff and then make crap up. It's if I get it, I give it. Because to me, there is a lot of responsibility that goes with what we do. And what I mean by that is, and again, everyone can do it, but if you do this professionally or for other people, and if you as the medium think you know better than the loved one who's giving you information from the other side, and you start putting words in that loved one's mouth, and the person that you're reading for becomes distraught and goes home and takes their own life, not a chance, not a chance. But you can see I'll usually be pretty accurate, right? There's, I believe, a couple of hundred people here, but beep, they'll get me to tune in directly. But not only that, look at how they pulled Jason in, going, hey, Jason, doink, could you, I just want to let you know. And your son was strong enough to go, right, say it, Mom, say it. And you did. I feel like, okay, I'm going to do it. So enough to get that connection in a beautiful way. Now, besides that, one other thing is, if you haven't just been standing there and out of your peripheral, you see like a light or a shadow figure go by, you're going to. Okay, it's very casual. But what happens is when we're looking ahead and we see it out of our peripheral and we look at it, all we're doing is taking this slow, sloppy screen of third dimensional vibration, which vibrates like that, slow and sloppy, and covering it over like, oh, there's nothing there. Next time, use your peripheral. You will see that energy move more effectively. And then every once in a while, even if it's a brick wall and you feel like taking a picture, take a picture. Because I have seen that with a lot of people to go, well, okay, that'll be nice, sure. And then they come back going, it was amazing. And it was for sure, because I felt like, and it was a brick wall. And I didn't know, but I just felt compelled to take a picture. And when I did, I looked at the picture and there was a couple of orbs in the picture. And I'm like, right, that's firsthand experience. Nobody did CGI. It's not other people's phones. It's your own unique connection. And when that can happen and get you that solid, at least connection to begin with, it gets even stronger. And it truly is all about the love. Now, we've gotten to just a few people, but I will be presenting next time for at least an hour and a half. And I would love for you to come back and have some fun. And I know that there are amazing presenters because you guys have great connections, Elizabeth. Thank you for what you do and all that you do. And bringing us together in this connection, because it's power in numbers and that love is huge. And when we can do this together in our own way and know that, okay, we're not alone and at least other people understand in some way, that's empowerment, that's connection. And that's when we maybe kind of lighten up on feeling alone because we don't always understand why we feel certain things. Is there any other questions? Any questions that I might be able to you got it. My pleasure. And, you know, again, I will start, if you're okay, we were having a great conversation for about 15 minutes. And, you know, I can come back a little bit earlier. And then if we want to let people in, if they have other questions, we'll roll with those and then go into readings as well.
Well, Jamie, I just want to tell you, there are so many people who love your humor. They say you're one cool guy. I don't know if you've been reading these things.
I haven't.
It's true.
It's too distracting at the moment. I'm like,
well, it's so much fun to read them because it's true that you're one of the most upbeat and you do things. He's the only person that I've ever met and the only medium who, as soon as I walk into the room, he'll start telling me tons and tons of things about me, which is just so much fun because it always is right. It's always correct. And he's always helped me know where I'm going myself. And I feel very grateful. When we got on here tonight, he thought it was only for an hour, which many times these are only an hour. And he said that next time he'd like to come back and do readings for an hour and a half. So I hope that all of you will be able to come back. Again, you can get more information about Jamie Clark at www.jamieclark.net, as well as his psychic evolution information is on there. Although, Jason, you have another website as well. So there are two. Let's see. And that one is
psychicevolution.net.
psychicevolution.net. Exactly. So very similar. And we truly appreciate this. I know you have other things to do. Thank you all for being here. And again, in case you did not get a message from your kids, and I know there wasn't a lot of time, every single one of your kids is here tonight. I know that. I can see all of them myself, even though I am not a psychic medium. I can feel them. I can hear them ringing in my ears. And I feel so grateful that all of you attended with your kids, because this is exactly where they want you to be. They want you to understand that this is possible for you to be doing. Jamie's very, very gifted. Jason's gifted as well, but we all can do this. Yes. And someday I'm going to write that book about all of our kids and include information about all of our kids. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time.
Great. And he's aware of it, because I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that, which is perfect. But, you know, and thank you. I was talking with Tina and a while ago, and just like you shared, I just, when I get around people, I'm already picking up information. I call it psychic Tourette's. Hi, here you go. And they're like, oh. But the great thing is, you know, again, I ask for permission, but a lot of times that's what they need, that insight to go, that's what I've been dealing with for the past while. I'm like, well, great. Apparently it's clear enough for us to have fun with this. And that's huge. So ladies and gentlemen, keep the connection, keep the faith. And I hope that I will see you again next time. And we'll see if we can lock in a date. That way we can know for sure when we're presenting, so that if you're able to make it, it'll be a family event.
And not only that, but Jamie is going to be at our conference. So as soon as we reschedule the conference, you'll be able to see him in person, which I think you can feel his energy through this Zoom meeting, but you can feel it even more so when he's in front of a group of people. So I'm very excited about that. So thank you all. And tomorrow night we have David Router, who will be doing an energy healing.
Brilliant.
And yes, turn on your microphones to say goodbye to Jamie for me, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, my friend.
For bringing my daughter through.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody, have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you all.
Thank you.